Good morning, everyone. I'm Gautam, Director of Vizag IAS Academy. I welcome you all today to our economy orientation session. This meet is part of our mentoring module. Actually, we at Vizag IAS Academy have started a mentoring module for students who would like to do self preparation and for those who are looking for guidance in addition to coaching. And as part of that, we have this guest lecture today. Today's guest speaker for this session is Mr. Joseph. He is actually one of our course advisors at Vizag IAS Academy. Mr. Joseph is an IRS officer and is currently working as Deputy Commissioner Customs. He has done his Masters in Development Economics from University of Cambridge. And in this session, Mr. Joseph will give an overview of how to approach economy for UPSC mains. So over to you, Joe.
Yeah. Today, we'll have a general orientation of Indian economy, both for prelims and mains. It's a combined approach. I'll be discussing how to approach this component of UPSC preparation. What is its relevance to the examination? How to score better? How to approach the discipline itself? Why is it even there as part of the civil services examination? What is its role after the exam, like as for civil of Indian economy? And then we will go into some tips about what material to look for, and what to focus on, what to leave, because economy is a very, very large discipline, and it is easy to imagine that, to get lost in it because it is too huge. It is important for you to stay focused, and I will give you tips and tricks of the trade kind of things to make sure what you should focus on and what you should leave. On the face of it, economy is one of the disciplines which appears to be very heavy and very technical, but actually, other than geography, this is the only discipline where you can score 100%. You can have a 100% hit rate in prelims. You can almost answer every single question in mains. Other than geography, this is the only discipline. Other disciplines' problem is with history and polity and all. With history, especially because history is a very database discipline. So, you need to know there will be one weird dance form or some tribal art or something that you can miss possibly. But economy is not like that. Economy is something which, if you know how to look, it's a very limited, very focused subject. And today we will look at how to narrow that focus down to and what the approach is to narrow that focus down for Indian economy. Now, understand that Indian economy is not like economics. There is a difference between the very often. I have seen aspirants, I've seen students confuse the two and spend unnecessary amount of hours trying to prepare for economics. Trying to prepare all sorts of this law, that concept, this theory, unnecessary. If you take a Datin Sundaram or a Mishra Puri book, it is it has to be used like a dictionary. It's a reference book. It is not to be rotated and memorized cover to cover. It is irrelevant. Please understand that these books are like dictionaries. They are like reference books. You don't memorize the entire dictionary. It is there so that whenever you have a doubt, if you don't understand the concept, a particular term is used, a particular concept is used that you're not entirely sure of. You go to the dictionary, you look for the word, you go to this reference book, you look for its explanation. Now, this is important because the analogy with Indian economy and civil services is like a driver and a car. The entire society is like the economy, and we are trying to steer it, like an expert driver who is trying to steer the car. We are not the scientists or the engineers who are building the car. That is the economist. For that, there is Indian Economic Service. It's a different service. There are professors of economics who do that. They are part of the public policy wing. We are not. We are merely drivers. We need to understand the car enough to be able to drive. This is something that you have to understand for you to keep in mind. This is important for you to keep in mind because you don't have to become a scientist. You don't have to become an engineer who is trying to build a car. Okay, you just have to know your economy enough to be able to steer it. Now, let's look at the syllabus. You will notice that the syllabus is designed, or the part of the syllabus, the components of the syllabus are not economics. They are only economy. They are only like your accelerator, brake, clutch, steering, how to turn on the headlights, how to turn on. It is only that much. It's a very limited syllabus. The problem why students think that Indian economy is everything is because they don't know where to focus on. They try to understand the carburetor and the, what the valves and all of that. They are unnecessary for the examination. You just need to know enough to be able to understand the economy in a larger picture. Now, which is why we'll go through the syllabus. I will quickly go through so that you get a good idea. Now, look at the very first topic in the syllabus. It is economic growth and development. Why economic growth and development? Because the more economy grows, the more we develop, the better everybody's lives are. And that is the single purpose of civil services. The civil services exists so that we ensure development for everybody. Part of that development is justice, part of that development is equality, part of that development is production, part of the development is greater investment. Now, those are the subtopics. If you notice, within economic growth and development, the subtopics are basic concepts and definition of economy and economics, use and transfer of resources. As a state, what do we do? I am part of the revenue department. The IAS is part of the state revenue department. What we do, we collect revenue. And once the collected revenue, what do? We then distribute it. We then allocate those resources. State, when I said the first sentence that I used is India is a development state. What do you mean when you say India is a development state? That India, unlike in the Western states where resource distribution is done by the market, the free market does it. The state does not get involved. The state only is an umpire. It is a referee which only looks at that the game is played fairly, that no particular firm is cheating or undue advantage or undue competition that one firm is not having. But in India, the state itself is a significant player. We ensure that distribution happens. The reason, because there are severe inequalities. There are regional inequalities. Some regions are very rich, some regions are very poor. There are social inequalities. Men tend to be richer, women don't have as many resources. Upper castes tend to have more resources, lower castes don't have any resources. The 1 to 5% rich in the country are very, very rich. They have more than 65% of all India's resources. The last 50% have less than 1% of all India's resources. Now, when you have a scenario which is so unequal, it inevitably leads to conflict. And that is where the state comes in. The reason why we keep distributing, why we keep taking resources from here and giving them there, taking resources from the rich states, giving to the poor states, taking resources from the rich people, giving to the poor people, giving so many subsidies, giving so many programs, schemes, is so that resources are allocated and distributed more equitably. We do that so that the society continues, so that the conflict doesn't erupt to a point where it tears the society. Now that you have a hang, you have to approach the entire discipline, the entire syllabus from this point of view, that this is why we are learning these things. Now look at it. The first topic is transfer of resources, which I just said. Why do we do that? So this is where your taxation comes. This is why do we tax at particular slabs? What taxes what? If you look at the previous years, almost every year, there'll be 2 to 3 questions on taxation. The reason is this, because transfer of resources, taxation is we taking from people who have, whether it is a particular region, whether it is particular community, whether it is particular class, we take from them and we give it to somebody else. Then distributive effects. Like I said, once you take, what do? You obviously distribute them. Then macro and microeconomic policies. The reason why we put macroeconomic policy and microeconomic policy is only to the extent that it helps in development. It is not random. It is not, you don't have to know everything about microeconomics. And in fact, there is never a question on, say, law of diminishing utility or law of isometrics, or there is no technical question in economics. There is only policy related question. The policy is also to the extent that it is relevant for Indian economy. Then you have macro balance. You have distributive impact of economic policies. Again, distributive impact. What is the impact of these policies? Is the distribution happening properly? Is there equality coming, or is it creating more inequality? Are these schemes being pocketed by few people, or are they really being distributed? So these are some of the questions that we need to answer. Development versus growth, determinants of growth, development such as HPI, HDI, Human Development Index, PQLI. These are all different indexes. They tell us how important or how much development is happening. Then the very next topic is poverty. Obviously, India is ridden with severe poverty, and definitions, causes, how do we reduce it? Poverty untamed, is it about food? Is it lack of education? Is it lack of opportunity? Is it lack of resources? All of these discussions happen, which is why poverty is important. Again, so that as civil services, our job is to alleviate, to reduce that poverty, which is why that is there. Inclusion. Like I just said, we are a deeply unequal society. We want a more inclusive society. We want a society that is less discriminatory, that is less exclusionary, which is why you have the topic of inclusion, financial inclusion, types of inclusion, this, that. Demographics. We need to know the demographics. Demographics are profile of people, rich, poor, North Indian, South Indian, young, old, male, female, because across these profiles, resources vary. Like I just said, some states have more resources, some states have less, some gender, men tend to have more access to resources, women don't. So it is in order to rectify those differences, we need to know the demographics to begin with, which is why demographics is an important part. Usually, both in mains and prelims, you will have at least one question on demographics. Then fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the way the state earns revenue and then spends in terms of policies and capital investment and payments and all that. Again, it is important. It's obviously relevant. Social issues. All of this is because of the social issues: education, health, sanitation, drinking water, social security, infrastructure. Infrastructure has roads, railways, airports, ports. All of this, what do? They in turn turn into economic growth and eventually into economic development, which is why social issues are important. And the final topic is also focus on issues currently in news related to topics such as MNREGA, MSMEs, Make in India, whatever, Niti Aayog, black money, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is largely the syllabus of Indian economy. Like I said, economics is not necessary. What you need to study is the Indian economy. You need to understand the Indian economy both in terms of sectors, as in agriculture is a sector, industry is a sector, infrastructure is a sector, unemployment is a big burden. It is a sector. You need to understand its sector, and you need to understand the big picture, because each of these sectors interacts with each other. Banking interacts with automobile sales. Automobile interacts with unemployment. Each of them connected. And the one textbook in which all of this comes together is the Economic Survey of India. Which is why, according to me, the most important textbook for any civil services aspirant for Indian economy is the Economic Survey of India. If you look at a typical 15 or 20 questions of prelims that comes, or mains, whatever, 6-7 questions that come, you will be able to answer more than 6%, 20% of those questions if you are thorough with your Economic Survey of India. Now, the reason is twofold. One, first of all, understand that for every question that comes in the UPSC examination, the person who is giving the question is accountable for its veracity, for its accurateness. And that is the reason why you can be very sure UPSC questions tend to come predominantly from government sources. The reason is, tomorrow if UPSC or DOPT sues an examiner saying this question is wrong, the examiner in turn can say, I picked the question from your government source, from a publication that was made by the government. which is why compared to private textbooks and private sources, you are encouraged. I encourage you, and generally also good people, good tutors encourage students to follow government websites and government publications. Now, on Indian economy, obviously the one publication that you have is the Economic Survey of India. For any aspirant, it is important that you are thorough with at least that year's economic survey and the previous year's economic survey. If you look at the 2020 prelims questions, economic questions, between the 2 years preceding, that is 19 Economic Survey of India and 20 Economic Survey of India, out of the 20 questions, more than 12 to 13 questions you can answer comfortably if you are thorough with Economic Survey of India. The remaining questions are from current affairs. Okay. Now, Economic Survey of India is also current affairs. Economic Survey of India is not separate from current affairs. The only difference is current affairs in newspaper only has the current affair. It doesn't have the concept behind it. But in Economic Survey of India, because it's a publication, it is an annual publication. It is published once in a year. It is freely available. Just Google search, you will find it. In that, not just the scheme, the policy, or what is the government thinking and what do we intend to do, what change do we want to make, not just that, there is also an explanation on the concepts behind it. Which is why if you are thorough with Economic Survey of India, you should be able to answer most of the economic questions. And if you know UPSC, if you answer 60 to 65% correctly, you are definitely through. Whether it's in prelims or in mains, you are definitely through. That is the usual cutoff that is there, 65% about. So imagine just from one textbook, you are actually able to answer. The problem is the way you approach Economic Survey of India. It is a big book, which is usually the biggest complaint that I get from students, that it's a very big book. What you don't understand is a lot of that book is appendices. It is a lot of data. Now, the problem is you just have to care about the all India data. But in the book, each all India data is further split state-wise. So for instance, let's say agricultural production. In agricultural production, let's say rice production. What do you have to know? As a UPSC civil servant aspirant, you just have to know that, okay, roughly what is the agricultural production that's happening? Why is there an overproduction of rice? Why is there an overstocking of rice? And what are the problems because of it? That is explained in the chapter. But because it is also a slightly rigorous book, what Economic Survey of India then does is it gives the data of each state. How much rice did it produce this year, last year? What is the projection for next year? All of this data is given. Now that goes into pages and pages. After each chapter, there is a lot of data. And at the end of the book, there is a lot of data. Data that you don't need to memorize. You don't memorize these kind of data. I remember one of the first UPSC questions. This is like my first attempt, Sebi Pehle. There was a question, different, I don't know if it was different cities or different states, about 8 different cities or states, and their rainfall. There was one column, different rainfalls, different temperatures, different whatever, no? And which of these is not correct or something like that. I thought, what kind of an examination is this? Do you really expect me to remember the rainfall and the temperature annually? Each quarter, say April to June, how much rainfall? June to July to September, how much rainfall? July to September, how much temperature? So much data. Do you really expect a student to remember every city, every state, so much data? No. If you know your geographical concepts well enough, if you know which region the monsoon hits, why does it hit there? Then you will know why there is more rainfall, why somewhere else there is less rainfall, why somewhere there is more sunlight, why somewhere there is more temperature, there is less pressure. If you know the fundamentals of geography, today, any serious aspirant, in fact, some of you have gone to interviews and you can easily just give me the city and I can tell you what the temperature and the rainfall is on an average. Very easily, at any season, on any given day, in fact. The reason is not because in my head I have all the things listed and I have a memory of it. No, that's not how it works. It's because you get the logic behind it. Now, in the Economic Survey of India, the reason why that data is given, and I will recommend you to take a look at it. So when you're reading a particular chapter, you go to that data sheet. They will tell in the data, in the box, in the data. Go to the data, look at it. You will not understand anything of it. You will just say Andhra Pradesh so much, Bihar so much, Uttar Pradesh so much. It's okay. You don't remember anything. Doesn't matter. You just look at it because it's important. It is important to the story that is being told in the chapter. The story will tell, okay, this state produces more rice, this state produces more cars, this is why this is happening, that is why that is happening. There is a story that is being told in the chapters. Just focus on the story. The data, just look at it because they are telling you to look at it. Look at the data. Don't try to memorize it. Leave it. But what will happen is, after one chapter, you'll go to the next chapter. Again, this data will come. Like I told you, each sector is connected to another sector. So the data keeps coming back. In second chapter, again, the data will come. In third chapter, again, the data will come. Again, you will see. Fourth chapter, again, the data will come. Again, you will see. Fifth chapter, sixth chapter, seventh chapter. By the time you finish 10 chapters of the Economic Survey of India, you would have seen the data multiple times. And what you have noticed is you have noticed the patterns between those data. You have noticed how one sector affects another sector. You would have noticed how the rise in one commodity affects another commodity. The rise in the increase in imports will affect the balance of payments. What is happening to foreign reserve because manufacturing is in. You will see the connections. And if you don't make those connections, you are not going to clear the exam. At least as far as economy is concerned, forget it. The only way you are going to understand the economy, whether to excel as a civil servant tomorrow or to clear the exam today, the only way you're going to do it is if you see the interlinkages between these sectors and data. You don't have to memorize the data. Remember, just see the data again and again and again. And the chapters will anyway make you do it. If you're reading the chapters carefully, thoroughly, you will do the data again and again. And it doesn't matter how bad your memory is. I have a very bad memory. Anyone who studied with me can vouch for it. I used to, I have one of the very, very poor memories, but doesn't matter because if you understand the concept, you will be able to predict and give the answer. Now, other than the Economic Survey of India, the second thing that you need to do is subscribe for a special economy-based paper. I would recommend Economic Times. I did Economic Times because my general paper used to be the Hindu. The Hindu is a largely left-leaning paper ideologically, so I wanted to have a balanced view, which is why I went for Economic Times. And the Economic Times is a slightly right-based view, but it's important. For the economy, it is important. So take the paper, focus on, there is one entire page, I think page or fourth, if I'm not wrong, on the state, on the political economy. Focus on that. Definitely read the editorials, glance through. Don't have to go really into there is 1-2 pages entirely on shares. Don't have to focus too much on it. Just look at the big one and leave. Now, the first you see this paper, the first page is anyway something that you anyway have in other papers also. It is all general elections, drama that happens. That is not important on the first page. But second and fourth pages are important. The editorial page is the most important. Now, you will not understand much of it. The very first time you read this paper, there is little that you will understand. There will be many new concepts, many new terms. You will not understand any of that. That is where your reference books comes into picture. Whether it's your Datten Mishra, Datten Sundaram or Puri Mishra or Ramesh or, I just did Google search. I never looked at any of these books. None of these books are quintessential for the preparation. Like I said, I never even looked at them. But let me clarify to you, just one clarification is necessary. I did my BA in History, Economics, Political Science, which means some of these terms I understand. So when you say law of demand and supply, or when you say law of diminishing marginal, I get it. I have a sense of it, which you may not. Which is why A simple Google search will do, or there is something called Arthopedia. I used to follow brunal.org. He gives very, very simple explanations. He used to give very simple explanations. Probably the Gautam or one of the directors can guide you what its equivalent is today. If it is not available, if it is available, it is definitely a good source to look at for explanations. For instance, inflation, deflation. You don't understand the concept. You go back and search. The word will be used in your, whatever newspaper you are reading, the word will be used. If you don't understand it, you go back and Google search or look at one of the sites that I just said, or look at this Dutt and Sundaram Wala book, like a dictionary, go and check where inflation is, look for it. That is how you are supposed to use those textbooks, not try to remember, memorize, and understand the entire textbook. It is unnecessary. You will just get bogged, you will get irritated, you will feel like throwing it up. It will just kill your interest and curiosity for the subject. Don't do that. Just try to understand every day what's happening. But now, initially, you may end up spending more than an hour for this economy paper because you may not understand. I am assuming some of you are first timers. For you, especially, I'm telling you, you will not understand a single sentence because this is not like a regular newspaper. These are technical terms and it is hard. It is naturally hard. Initially, it is going to take an hour, hour and a half also. No problem. Do it. Every term, every new term that you're learning, make a note of it every day. This notes after 2 weeks, share it with your mentor, your coach, whoever it is, and they will tell you which of these terms are relevant and which of them are not relevant. That is how you slowly learn what to focus on and what to not focus on. It will come with time, but by a month, you will be so smooth that all you will need is about half an hour. Maximum on one particular day, you may need 40 minutes, but generally not more than half an hour. You are thorough. Now, remember, it is good not just because in the economy and in the economics paper, in the economy paper, every other discipline also comes. So your schemes also come, your policies also come, your acts also come, your environment also comes, your security also comes. The thing is, don't think Malli in another 30 minutes do I have to waste on another paper. Don't think like that. It is worth it. It is worth it. Subscribe for the paper. Once the coaching center starts, once the lockdown is lifted, there will be papers in the coaching center. But until then, subscribe it to your house. From June 1st, at least start getting the paper and follow it. It is necessary. I hope I'm able to convince you. If I'm not able to convince you, just take my word for it and follow it. You will be well rewarded. How to get it under 30 minutes is something we can discuss. Probably your mentors, or for those of you whom I'm teaching mostly economy, I'll also be spending some time with you. We can discuss that. That is not important, but you better follow it. Start taking the papers. So I would like to summarize once again what I just said. For the sources, your primary sources are Economic Survey of India and an economics paper. Economics paper, you will be spending about 30 minutes a day. Economic Survey of India looks very big, looks like, two huge, thick textbooks. They are not. You are used to academic textbooks, which is why you're psychologically, you'll feel, textbook. It is not. It is written by usually bureaucrats, and the team is composed of the Indian Economic Service people. These are not high specialists. These are not professors. These are normal civil servants who are writing the textbook. It is written not for master students or for graduates. It is written for laymen, qualified, good graduate laymen. It is written in very simple language. You will be able to understand it. The thickness is because of a lot of graphs, a lot of data, and a lot of repetition. So the chapter structure in Economic Survey of India is, first there'll be a big box telling you what the chapter is about. Then the chapter comes. Then in the end, there is a summary of what the chapter just said, points wise. It is because of that you feel that there is a lot of, because of which the bulk increases. But actually, substance of it is very little. And it focuses on exactly the things that you need to focus on as an aspirant. It doesn't touch all irrelevant topics. It just focuses on what is necessary. So you just do the Economic Survey of India. Wherever you have a doubt, go to your reference book or go to Google. Read your paper every day. One economy-based paper, preferably Economic Times. only focus on the editorial and the state part of it. There'll be one part, it will be written state, upar, and all the economic news related to the government is given there. That is most relevant for us. The stocks and all, just take a look. It is important because sometimes some economic terms might come there which might be important. For example, initial public offering, IPO. What is it? Just be curious. It's important. It's nice. It's just learn and keep it there. Don't have to like. But over time, when you keep glancing that page, you will begin to see trends and patterns. Those patterns are necessary because depending on the rainfall that you have that year, or depending on how you have got monsoon, trading in rice and sugar will obviously be affected by it. This is obvious. Anybody knows it. But the interesting thing is, even steel and cement are affected by the monsoon that year. Or the sale of car is affected by the monsoon that year. Now, those are interesting connections. And those connections you need to know to apply them. We are in the government. Okay, we are applying them at the macro scale. But shares are a micro phenomenon. Okay, these are individual investors investing, even institutional investors, but these are micro phenomena. But the connections are still the same. And what I want you to learn are those connections, which is why I'm saying just take a look at it. Don't have to remember, don't have to focus, just on superficially, just look at it and leave it. Now, yeah, that is the summary of it. I think, yeah, we've spent about 35 minutes. I have pretty much covered what I want to. I just want to leave you with another analogy, which is economy is huge. It's complex. Suddenly, when you encounter it, it might look like a big monster. But if you break it into smaller parts, it will start making sense. You will start seeing the connections. You will then understand the big picture. It is like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay. So I just want to conclude by saying that focus on the Economic Survey of India, focus on the paper, write your notes, learn the concepts. In Economic Survey of India, every new concept that you come across, write it down, make a note of it, get the concept right. And if you look at the previous year's papers, let me just see if I can look at some prelims questions. Yeah, what is this first question? 2020 UPSC prelims economic questions. I'm going through the questions to confirm to you, to verify for you that whatever I just said is valid. That out of 15 questions, you can answer more than 12 questions only based on the Economic Survey of India. Now, the first question is, what is the importance of the term interest coverage ratio of a firm in India? This was part of the banking chapter in 19 Economic Survey of India, because that year we had a banking crisis and we had a lot of NPAs, non-performing assets. It's a term. Again, these are terms that you will come. As part of that, this was there in the Economic Survey of India. The second one, which of the following factors, another question, which of the following factors policies were affecting the price of rice in India in the recent past? Again, this is a straight pick from the Economic Survey of India. This question is, as it is, this topic was discussed in the chapter of agriculture in Economic Survey of India, because in the recent past, rice has become a big issue. We are overproducing it. Food Corporation of India is not able to stock it. More than 30% is being wasted every year. We don't know what to do with it, which is why the recent farm laws were introduced. One of the reasons why the farm laws were introduced. Anyway, we don't know what will happen to it. But this question, discussion was there in the Economic Survey of India. The third question is Kisan Card Scheme. Again, it was there in the Economic Survey of India. As it is. But see, this is the problem. If you read Dattan Sundaram or if you read another textbook, you will not be able to answer them, at least you will not be able to eliminate, which is important, which is right, which is wrong. The prelims questions I'm talking. But if you read the Economic Survey of India, every point is mentioned there, which is why you will be able to certainly answer, which is why I said there is a 100% hit rate for economy. Then, okay, then there is consider the following statements. Weightage of food in consumer price index versus whole price index. The Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI. This is again Economic Survey of India question. I mean, it's there in Economic Survey of India in the Fiscal Policy chapter. You can go and look at it. What else? In India, which of the following can be considered public investment in agriculture? Okay, this is something that you just, if you know the concepts, you'll be able to answer it straight away. This is not a question from Economic Survey of India, but if you've read Economic Survey of India, you'll be able to answer it. Undoubtedly, minimum intelligence required, you'll be able to assess. In fact, there's a lot of discussion on how in that year's edition, 20 edition, there was a discussion on how giving free electricity and wave loaner does not help the agriculture sector. It is not capital investment. There's a lot of wastage there. And in the questions that are given in this question, that is mentioned. So you'll be able to easily with that. Now, yeah. Next question has to do with commercial paper, call money, zero coupon bond. These are concept-based questions. These, all of them, you'll be able to answer if you read any economics times paper. Okay? Even if you read them for one, these terms will come. They come almost every day. So if you were reading a paper and you were slightly aware of it and you were writing, like the way I said, when you don't understand a word, when you don't understand a concept, if you write the word, usually this is very, very common. The same set of words keep repeating. So I think the Academy intends to give you a list of words, but there is nothing like following it then by yourself in the news. You will understand them much better. Dictionary laga, like a dictionary, just giving the concept and its meaning, it doesn't stick in your memory. Even if you will be able to eliminate, in mains you will not be able to write. So it is better you read it through paper and learn it. Then the question is on, okay, Indian merchandise export is less than Indian merchandise. This is there in the foreign policy, in the export import chapter of Economic Survey of India of 2020. Iron and steel, chemical, this was there in the manufacturing chapter. Okay, this question also, almost all of them you can answer. Housing loan, amount standing treasury bill, again there. There is a question on trade-related investment measures. I think this is a current affairs-based question. I don't remember it being there. It could have been there, I don't know. But I don't remember it being there in economic survey, but it is something that you will get through current affairs. Anyway, I don't want to, now you get a hang of it, right? Basically, out of the first 10 questions that I saw, almost 7 of them you can answer based on economic survey of India. As part of our classes, we will emphasize and focus on economic survey of India. If there is one takeaway that I want you to take from the class, it is that don't try to mug up the entire economic principles, laws, all of that. No. Don't do that. Just stick to current affairs through a paper, relevant concepts, and economic survey of India. That should be enough for you. We've also gone through roughly the syllabus. I told you what is the approach to look at it, and I hope this should help. I think I'll be open for a few questions or doubts. Any, you can, whoever wants to ask, you can unmute and switch on your video and ask.
Let's please share any questions you have. That, yes, sir, will answer about this session or in general about economy.
Yeah.
Hello, it is, there are no questions from your end. I think Joseph sir is getting late, so he may leave or something. Joe, is it okay to stay on for some more time or?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind for another 5 minutes. I can stay. I mean, if there is some question, then I'd like to. How come? I mean, how come there is? Was it too dense? Do you feel that? Can any of the students? Subhashini, are you there? Subhashini is not
Yes,
there.
sir,
Okay.
sir, I'm here. I'm here.
No. Is it too dense?
Sir, no, sir, it's not too dense.
No. Okay. Uh, or was it too fast? Should I have slowed down?
No, no. It was
Right.
pretty much clear, and you already summarized
Okay.
it. So
Okay. Neeku clear avvachu. Let me ask one of the new. Shailaja. Is Shailaja there, Gautam?
Yes, sir.
She's there. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Sir,
yeah.
yes, sir. I totally understand the concept, sir. As I asked you about how to approach this, I got the clearance, sir. I was thinking that in that Misra that Sundaram book, there was lot of information in it, sir. I was thinking that I have to read that also, but now I got the clarity that no need to read that depth.
Yeah.
And as a, in a first reading of NCERT textbooks is enough, and later on, if I had any doubt, then I will search in that book, sir.
Yeah. Good that you reminded me. I actually missed a point. I wrote it down, but I forgot to tell you. NCRT is important because so when you read the paper or when you read the Economic Survey of India, the basic questions you will not even basic concepts like say inflation, like say purchasing power parity. These things are addressed in NCRT. Vaatiki minchi beyond that you don't have to really go much. Okay, those concepts are there in NCRT, which is why NCRT is very important. Remember, I kept telling you have to make a list of all the concepts, make a list of all that. You will get it in NCRT. Actually, most of them
Yes,
are in NCRT. Yeah.
yes, sir. To understand the topic, we have to study in the NCERTs, and later on we have to conclude, as you said,
Yeah.
to have a look after the economy survey and economic times.
Deepika, are you there? Deepika, any questions from
Yes,
your
sir.
end?
Sir, like for 2022, like do we need to refer current affairs from 2020?
2020.
22 attempt.
No. 21 definitely. So
Okay.
what will happen is you will read 21 ka Economic Survey of India. This year's Economic Survey of India you will read,
Yes.
and you will also read next year's Economic Survey of India, right?
Mm.
Now
Mm.
in this year's Economic Survey of India, you will have um, discussion about last year's issue because see this year when is the Economic Survey of India launched? It's in February,
Yes, sir.
which means it is discussing mostly 2020 issues. So,
Okay.
in how much ever is covered in Economic Survey of India is more than enough. Beyond that, UPSC won't go. It will
Okay.
not go beyond that. And believe me, guys, again, I'm telling you, don't look at the size and be intimidated. I know out of every 10 students that I know, 9 people leave it only because of the size. Please don't do that. ఒక్కసారి ఓపెన్ చేసి చదవండి. It is not as difficult as it seems.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Sir, like
Okay.
can I follow Sanjeev Verma for economy, sir? Like for reference book, Sanjeev Verma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, as long as you get the meaning, it doesn't matter. They all give the same meanings. I have now not even heard most of these names. I only
Okay.
learned of these people because I didn't I mean only when I went to the interview and I met other aspirants, I was like, oh, this also they read, Uma Kapila also they'll read, Ramesh Singh also they'll read and all that. But and okay, I had a nearly 100% hit rate for economy. So I can very confidently say really they didn't add much value or they don't add much value.
Actually, there's no, I may not totally agree on this because you should also consider the educational background of Joseph sir.
Okay.
As he already told you, he has uh, found foundations on economics and economy. So I don't think you have to as is apply, but definitely
Yeah.
you have to build your foundations. Okay, and then maybe you can sieve out unnecessary data. Deepika, you are asking about a book, right? Like
Sanjeev
what
Verma.
Sanjeev Verma,
Sanjeev
sir.
Verma, yes. So
Mm.
like what Joseph sir just told us in the session,
Mm.
you can use any book like a dictionary, like not reading anything from page one to the last one. You just have to look at the topic where you have some you need some clarification or more
Mm.
elaborate. Okay, so you can do that, and end of the day, you have to have strong foundations. Okay, you have to go and search in the net or somewhere, but you have to have clear knowledge of all the economic terms. Okay,
Okay.
that we cannot.
Sir, a small doubt. Sir, did the Economy Survey of India consist of previous year's survey, sir, or current survey, sir?
No, it's an annual publication. So every year it covers whatever has happened in the previous year. Previous year.
Mm,
So
okay,
21
sir.
will cover 2020 largely.
Okay, sir.
22 next year survey will cover 21 mostly. So it will
Mm,
just be the previous year. Yeah, that financial year basically. Yeah.
okay. Okay, sir.
For
Thanks.
2022 people, whoever is giving that attempt, you don't have to bother about last year's, this year economic survey, next year economic survey of India, good enough. Current affairs from June, this June, good enough. Everything else will anyway be covered in the next economic survey of India, so you don't have to bother too much.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, Joe, maybe this question came because in our mentoring document, okay, we asked them to prepare for the last 12 months current affairs. So that
Mm.
means they'll be studying current affairs from past June. Okay.
2022 attempt ki?
Yes, yes. So, like we planned for 2 years of current affairs. They should be
2 years of current affairs. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. 1 year is definitely good, but there are
Current
few.
affairs, yes. You're
Hmm.
right. Current affairs, yes. I am. Oh, even for economy, you're saying?
No, no, no. Maybe you were talking in terms of survey, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, sir.
That's why I just wanted to clarify because they may think that current affairs of just 1 year is enough. Okay, just going back a year more, where like there are many issues which drag on for years. Okay, they will have a common thread running. Okay, and I think you will be better equipped to answer such questions. Okay, so like 18 months is good. Okay.
Sir, so last 1 year current affairs other than economic survey, where should we covering it from? Vision, economy, modular, like
Yeah, yeah. Any
they
good
suggest
monthly,
something. Okay.
any good monthly vision, or any other, of your choice. Okay, it's okay, but it's not a substitute for daily newspaper reading. You have to do that, and as Joe just mentioned, you also have to look at economic times for if you're not very good at economy part, and after just reading the editorials, maybe you can go for a monthly consolidated current affairs. Whichever is good,
Okay.
whichever is preferable
Okay.
way.
Okay.
See, we at our institute, especially for mentoring, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel again. So we are not again uh, creating a current affairs document and sharing it with you because it's already there, and most of it will be the same everywhere. Okay, so you can use any good document which is available. Okay,
Okay, sir.
one moment, Joe. I
Mm.
think Hamant is a new joinee. Hamant and Shakil. Shakil is missing. Hamant, do you have any questions?
No, sir. As far as like now, everything is clear for this topic, like how to approach the economy.
Okay, okay. Who else has? Yeah, Soumya, Soumya Sahu.
No, sir, I don't have.
Okay, so I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
So thanks, Joe. Anything else in general about the mentoring module or anything?
Sir, I would
Yeah.
like to know about, answer writing, mains answer writing in particular to economy, or because we would be starting our preparation with this mains test. So I think it would be nice if we have a session about, answer writing in particular.
Actually, I'll answer that, Joe. See, we have this test series running parallelly with this, mentoring module. That is in
Mm.
a way to assist us in knowing how you are writing as of now. Okay, and that will help us to
Okay.
suggest changes. Okay, definitely
Okay.
during the mentoring session and even in the classes which you have, we will tell you, how to improve and how to target. Okay, because
Okay, sir.
just saying something, it won't work. Okay, we have to see how you are writing. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
I
then we
meant,
can.
a few things to keep in mind before starting to write like that.
These questions are not so big, no? These are not essay-based questions, right? These days, the questions are really short. I think less than
Mm.
150 words. So I don't know if
Mm.
you'll have enough. But yeah, obviously, the obvious things are right to the point, right to the question. Don't write whatever you know.
Mm.
These are, I mean, for you, these are too obvious. Each, you've been listening to this since some time now. So what you need is we need to work with your particular answer. Like Gautam said, I think we'll have to see what is happening, and then only. I mean, it's a more surgical approach. We can't give
Uh-huh.
a blanket. This thing it won't work. That is a one-on-one
Okay, sir.
session matter. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I understand. Thank you.
Okay, just an update. Like this is a session for economy, and since you guys are starting to study economy, we have arranged for this session with Joseph sir. And similarly, experts will be coming for other subjects as well, subject matter experts. So just before you start your test for a particular subject, they will be giving you an overview like today, and then we'll have other planned mentoring sessions as well. Okay. So anything else? If not, we'll close the session.
Sir, for exam, we have to read current affairs of past 5 months, sir, for daily test. Sorry, for weekly test.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I think this monthly, if you take Vision IAS or any other document, the economy part will be just few pages. Okay, and the consolidated like 4 or 6 months or 1 year will be just a booklet. Okay, around running for 100 or 120 pages. I would say you try to read for the past 1 year. Okay, because most of the issues will be repeated. Okay, you can skip many pages in that. Okay, but just to just that you have clear info on what is the current affairs for the past 1 year. Better to just go look at all the 12 months current affairs. Just a view, past view. That's it. That's enough.
It's only a cursory
Glance.
glance, Shailaja. Yeah, just very, very. You're not remembering. Don't feel overwhelmed. It's a lot of data initially, like I said, because you don't know the story. It's just a lot of names and a lot of data. So don't bother about that. Just give a cursory glance. Keep exposing yourself to that material. It will start
Okay.
settling down. Neeking time in the avati, it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I
So,
think.
yeah. I
Sorry.
think it's getting late. Joe is getting late. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, no, not a problem. We have a mentoring group as well, so you can drop your queries there if just in case you don't get something right now. Okay. So saying this, conclude. If there is no other question. Okay, guys. We'll meet in the next session then. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.